Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Gowns and Gossip podcast show. And I'm your host, Kiki. And first, I want to say Happy New Year's to everyone. We are now in 2017. 2016 is gone. All we can do now with that is reflect and try to move on to something bigger and better in our lives. And I know that everyone has their own particular New Year's resolutions, but try to stick with them. And if you can't stick with them, kind of decrease them down a little bit so that you can somewhat see some of your efforts, that you've put into that goal. If you know that your goal is to lose 15 pounds in 3 months, hey, try to lose 5 in 3 months. Whatever you can do, just do it. Just as long as you put forth the effort. So I know it's been a while since I have been back on here. A lot of things have went on towards the end of the year. And so a lot of stuff I had to just take care of. I know at some point I got sick. At some point I had family stuff going on. And I just had to move around a lot. And my equipment is it's in my office. So I have to just make sure that I set aside some time to actually do my podcast because I hate moving this stuff around and I hate carrying around the laptop and the mixer, which is not that much equipment, but I just hate, lagging it around with me. So if I do a podcast, it's primarily here in my office. So I just cannot do that. So towards the end of the year, I really did not record or pre-record any type of podcast because most of the time I was not here. So now I'm here at the house. I'm here in my office, and so I do have a little bit more time. And so this year my resolution is to engage more and put more content out concerning the podcast and even my other online endeavors. So hopefully you guys will be around to listen to the podcast and to all of the other things that I have going on, or actually see a lot of the other things I have going on. So today we're going to kind of make a revisit to 2016. If you were listening to my podcast back then, you would have known that I was in the Masters of Social Work program at Grambling State University, and I graduated back in May. Well, with going into the Masters of Social Work program, you not only have to graduate, you also have to pass the licensure exam. And as you can see from the title, I failed the licensure exam on my first try. I failed by 4 points, which somewhat devastated me. I just was too through with the fact that it was 4 points. If it's like 15, 20, 30 points, then you can safely say, okay, you didn't know anything. You didn't know nothing at all. You just went in there and just kind of run it and gun it. And you just, just went ahead and took the test because it's a deadline coming. But I went in there and I actually put forth an effort. And I'm going to tell you where I messed up with taking this exam. So if you are in the Masters of Social Work program, you're getting ready to graduate, or you've already graduated and you're getting ready to take this exam, you might want to listen to this podcast and see what I did so you don't make the same mistake. So I'm going to go back to before graduation. So back in April, early May, our professor provided us a book or a booklet that had information from the licensure exam, and not from the actual exam, but information that would be potentially on the exam. So they wanted to make sure that we were prepared and able to look at questions that provide application questions so that we can see in advance what could possibly be on the test and what the questions would possibly look like. So the book that they provided us is called Leap. And so you can find it on Amazon. This is not a sponsored podcast, so that's just the literature that we used in order to better prepare us for the exam. And for us, it was free. I want to say that maybe the social work program there at the university paid for it, or whatever the case may be. And we were able to get that information for free. So I got the book, and I didn't really look at it until after I graduated. So after I graduated, I glanced at the book, and the first thing it kind of tells you is that take the practice exam in the back and see where you are. So I did that, and I think I did pretty good. I can't remember if I failed that or not, but after a few times of taking the practice exam, I did get better. And I think it's kind of good and kind of bad, because at some point when you've taken the practice exam so many times, it kind of just like you remember certain things. You're able to recall certain words and, you know, what answer didn't fit. So it wasn't as if it was a new batch of questions. You were just working off of what you already have seen. So it's kind of good, kind of bad. So the book, it basically had information about human behavior, DSM-5, indirect and direct practice, and ethics. I think that's what they had in there. And so it wasn't like a full thing. It was like just an overview, just enough to get you through the test. So you won't be looking at 50 million books trying to figure out what it is that you need to focus on. So it kind of gave you a glance at what you should see on the exam. And so during like June, July, August, September, I just kind of glanced over the information. I didn't really study. I didn't start studying until like October, because I took the test in November. So practically a month before, I really started reading. And not only did I read that book several times, in which it tells you in the beginning of the book, it says that you'll have a better chance of passing the exam. Not guaranteeing you that you'll pass it, but they say you'll have a better chance of passing the exam if you read this book 3 times. And so I read it 3 times. And so I read it, and then I had other literature as well to look at. And I kind of listened to some old recordings when I used to record while my professor was talking, because she was a person that kind of talked a lot instead of you staring at the book. So it was more so you taking notes. And I'm a person that if someone is a talker, I would rather record and listen to it later. So a lot of the things that she talked about in those recordings kind of helped me out too. So my issue is that I am a horrible test taker. Not saying I'm horrible at taking tests. I'm just anxious about taking tests. For me, weeks in advance, my stomach was getting knots. I was getting butterflies in my stomach. I just could not grasp this test. I put so much into this test. I was like, I'm not going to find a job. I'm not going to find a good paying job. No one's going to hire me. I need to pass this test in order to make good money. I need to do this. I need to do that. And I just put so much into taking this test and acing it on the first time. I kind of psyched myself out. And that's just me being honest. I made it extremely hard on myself to even pass the exam. And even with that being said, I still had doubts about taking the exam. I knew I had a deadline because I set the date and I said I wasn't going to push it back. But my anxiety just got the best of me. And so I reached out to 2 of my cohorts to kind of ask them, hey, what was kind of on the test? And so they both told me communities. It's a lot of stuff about communities. And I was like, communities. So when I thought of communities, I was thinking macro level. And so the thing is that I did not look at anything as far as communities. I didn't look at anything at all. I mean, everything. I mean, don't get me wrong. When you say indirect, that is kind of like you're talking about macro level. You're talking about communities and everything like that. You may be talking about the administrative side of social work. And the thing is that I did not go in depth with that. Everything else I went in depth in. And I just neglected communities, even though 2 people told me already to like, they just basically said communities, and they said the same thing. They were like, I really didn't know too much about it. And now that after taking the exam and I thought about it, I said, wow, we really didn't go over community stuff. We really didn't. In class, we really didn't go over that stuff. But even if it wasn't something that was covered in class, I should have did my part and covered it myself. So even still, after the fact, after 2 people explained to me and told me that communities was largely on their exam, I should have listened to that. So weeks before the exam, I'm studying, and I could tell you it was bad. Like, when I study for something and I really want to know it, that's all I do. And I mean, I studied, I ate, I slept for like maybe 3-4 hours, woke up, sat up in the bed, reading literature again. Then I would go to sleep, wake up, eat something, look back in the book, read some more literature, and start it all over again. That's all I did, and it was at some point where, my mom and my fiance had to tell me to stop, because I was doing so much studying. It was like nothing else was, nothing else mattered. I would wake up and do the same thing over and over again. And I would actually feel as though I was actually feeling as though I did not take up enough time. That's just how much I was studying. Even though I was studying 10 hours plus in the day, I would still feel as though I'm not studying enough. So at some point, I was just doing too much. But at the same time, my anxiety level was like getting higher and higher and higher, because I felt like each day I'm getting closer to this test. I need to study more. And so this is kind of like the process for the day of the test. So I went to the building. Of course, it's already paid for, everything. You already got your, receipt or whatever. You got to bring your social security card and ID or something like that. And I went into the building. And if I tell you security is like G14 classified kind of security, like, I was not expecting that. It was just really, hey, put your purse here, you better not touch that purse after you have started the exam. You cannot do not leave out the building. You better not think about leaving out that building. It was real G14 classified up in there. So when I was even standing out there, because you had to be there a little bit before the test. So I'm standing out there. It's like 7:15. I'm standing out in front of the door or whatever. They don't open it until 8. So I'm standing out there, and my stomach is like queasy. I am just nervous. I'm feeling my whole body just tensing up. It's just ridiculous how much I have put into this test. And I'm sitting there like, I'm cool. But really, I'm not cool. And so they open up the doors like a little bit before 8. And it was other people there to take the exam. There were other people to take an exam. And we were all not taking the same exam. So I think for the most part, I was probably the only one there to take the LMSW exam. Well, I think I was. And I want to say, I think it was a woman that was taking the LCSW exam, the licensed clinical social worker exam. So go in, sit down. They call you on up to the desk. they ask you to take off your glasses because I wear, reading glasses. So the man looked at them, inspecting them, and I guess he thought I had some answers or something up in there. I wish, but no, it wasn't. It wasn't any answers up in there, but he was looking at them glasses like he needed to see if it's some kind of, extra stuff going on. And so then he took my picture. Yeah, he took my picture, and he had me to sit my driver's license down and my social security card down. And he told me that I could only bring in there my driver's license. And so he told me to put all my items in this locker. I put all my items in there, and I walked around the corner, and there was a guy sitting. No, let me go back. When I first started with everything, where the glasses and the ID and everything, taking a picture, I had to put my hand on the scanner. They were scanning my hand for that part. Then I walked around the corner, and before I can even go into the testing room, they had to scan my hand again. And so I don't know. And I mean, this is like literally feet from each other, but they scanned my hand again. And so then I went in, and like my heart is like about to just go out of my chest. And I sat down in front of the computer, and I had my ID, and I had my headphones on, because they give you headphones, because I did not want anybody to distract me. And it was this girl that was just sickly beyond all reason that was taking the test today. Well, that day. And so I started with the first question, and I'm like, what in the hell is this question? What is this? And I'm looking like, what? And it's like everything. Human behavior, DSM-5, indirect, direct practice was all gone. The only thing that was left in my brain was ethics. Ethics was the only thing left in my brain at the first question. I was just sitting there like, what in the hell is this question? What are they talking about? And the thing is that, okay, with the practice test and everything that my professors and everybody went through with me, we went over application questions like all the time. The way that those application questions were given was like foreign language to me. I don't know what was going on there. I cannot tell you. I mean, don't get me wrong. It was, what do you do first? Or whatever. What do you do next? Or it was on that level. I get that. The last sentence, yeah, that was there. But a lot of the things that they were like, the way the question was given, I was like, what in the hell is this? Why? Really? That's all I kept saying. Really? I think at some point in the exam, I actually turned around and gave that confused look like, what? This got to be a joke. Like, you cannot be serious right now that my license is all dependent upon this exam. The thing is that what you have to remember with this exam is that it does not take away from the fact that you are capable of being a great social worker. My thought process is this. It's just a standardized thing to where all social workers have to go through it. And I honestly believe that there are some people that are not great. They are not great social workers. And they pass this exam with no problem. And it has nothing. I feel like it doesn't speak about your way of doing social work, how empathetic you could be with your clients. It has nothing to do with that. I think that this is just, it's just a test that they just say, if you could pass this, we're going to let you in the door. And from there, you could possibly win. It's one of those kind of things. And I mean, 170 questions, okay? 170 questions. Only 150 of them count, which means 20 of those questions on that exam, they don't even count. I think that's for like a another year's batch or something. They're trying to see if it can go into another batch of questions. So out of 150 questions, I had to answer 96 of those correct. And so I only answered 92 correct. So this is what happened. Even during the test, my anxiety level is still high. Even during the test, I'm sweating and it's cold up in there. And I'm still feeling clammy and sweat. It was just a mess. And around question 80 to 100, I was just starting to get tired. I was just like, oh my God, I cannot do this. But it didn't click in my mind to take a break. You know, I think I had, by the end of the exam, I had like maybe 30 minutes. So somewhere along the way between 80 and 100, I could have taken a break and I didn't take it. So, at the end of the exam, of course, you can mark answers, you know, and go back to them so you can change the answer. If you forget an answer, they're going to ask you 2 to 3 times. Are you sure you're done? During that time when they was asking me that at the end of the exam, am I sure? I'm like, hell no, I'm not sure. I have no idea what's going on here. Lord, please help me. I was just too through at that point. I was so tired because 150, let me go back, 170 questions, that's excessive. But I guess it's like, hey, you want to get into this field, you got to know at least some of the stuff that we're talking about. You have to know at least 96 of the things that we're talking about. So at the end of the exam, I finished marking all of the ones that I had skipped on and went back and, you know, put those answers what I wanted them to be. And at that point, it really clicked in my mind that 170 questions, only 150 count. Even if I go back and change an answer, that could be one of the answers or one of the questions that don't even count. So then I got even more discouraged. It was a mess. I'm not gonna lie. It was so bad. But, you know, they asked you to do a survey, which it makes your nerves even worse. And then they ask you 2 times. I want to say it was either 2 or 3 times. Are you sure? Meaning, are you sure what you're done with your answers and you're done with the test? At that point, you don't know what to do and you're sweating. And immediately after you press that button, it says fail or pass. And mine said fail. If I tell you, now at that point, I didn't know how many questions I had right or wrong. But I assumed that I answered like so many wrong that it was just unheard of. So I was so weak. Like my body had been tense for like at least 2 to 3 hours that I could barely get up from the seat. Like that's just how bad it was. Where my purse and like all of my belongings were, they were on like the top like locker. It was so hard for me to reach up there. My anxiety had literally taken over my body. Like before, during, and after, my anxiety level was just out of this world. I have never experienced that ever with a test. And so I knew I had put so much into this test. I was literally making myself sick. And so I got my purse out of the, they ran my finger in my hand again. They ran the, after you have failed the test, you really don't want to do anything else except for leave. But nah, they got to scan your hand one more time. So after that, then I grabbed my belongings and I could barely reach up there to get them. And the guy, he kind of looked over it. He was like, here you go. Like, what the hell? You gonna hand me my paper like that? I'm already like discouraged. Really? And then when I got the paper and I realized that I missed it by 4 points, then I was even madder. I was just like even more madder because I was like, You mean to tell me that I could have went back and changed the answer, but still 20 of them don't count? What if I would have went back and changed some crap that didn't even count? It just, it was a mess. It was like a full mess. And so, so when I walked out, I called my mom. She was like excited, but then I had to calm her down and try to explain to her, like, no, we ain't in that number right now. And then I had to call my fiance and let him know. He was immediately like, so when can you take it again? Like right afterwards, like basically, we don't care about that. When you gonna take it again? So the thing is that they give you 90 days after the day that you actually took the test, and they give you an opportunity to take it again. So immediately after that, I was ready to take the exam again. Now all my anxiety is gone. I had a discussion with this lady a few weeks ago, actually. And we were talking about the exam because I explained to her that I failed by 4 points. And she was like, it was your anxiety, wasn't it? And I was like, yeah. She was like, I can guarantee you that you're just like me. She said, you have to know what's on the test. She was like, it doesn't matter whatever you study. It doesn't matter how much you study. You need to at least see or know what's on the test. And the thing is that that's me. I have to know what's on the exam. I have to know what it looks like and what's going on with it, because the whole time before taking the exam, I was lost. I was like, okay, I'm studying all this stuff, but I still have no idea what these questions look like. And when I saw question 1, I was like, what the hell? And now, I'm not like that. And I'm actually somewhat more prepared. And I think that if you are in the social work field and you're getting ready to prepare to take the exam, the best thing that I could tell you is study as much as you can, but don't be excessive. Because when I took the test, I'm going to tell you, question 1, everything went out the door except for ethics. I just really had to sit down and really just calm myself the little bit that I was able to do, and really try to recall what I retained, so that's what you really have to do. And look at social work from every aspect. Don't just think about human behavior, direct, indirect practice, ethics. Think about it from every aspect. The way the questions are designed is that someone has actually went through that situation. And so they want to know, what is it that you will do first? Most of the questions are like that. What will you do first? So just make sure that you just don't look at it from a human behavior standpoint, and don't think that they're going to ask you a whole bunch of definitions. I don't recall any definitions at all, really. For the most part, it's more so like an application question that's wrapped up in something dealing with human behavior. It's kind of given to you that way. It's like you having to apply what you've learned, but also look at, okay, is this a stage in Erik Erikson? Is this dealing with Piaget or something like that? Cognitive theory, it's wrapped up into that. So you really have to, like, when they say you got to know your human behavior, baby, you better know it. You better know it. Don't go in there not knowing about human behavior, knowing something about indirect and direct practice. Indirect practice is my weakness. So I know that knowing more about communities, about administrative stuff, that's something I'm going to have to brush up on. The DSM-5, believe it or not, I didn't see too much of it, but that was my test. Ethics, I seen a good portion of it, but it wasn't that bad. Everything is application. It's actually putting in situational circumstances. That's what it's about. So if you can reevaluate the way that you study and try to make it to where it's more you applying what you are learning, then you'll do better on the exam. Also, as far as like anxiety, if you take any meds for anxiety, I suggest you take them at least an hour, 2 hours in advance before taking this exam. If you do any type of meditation or anything like that, eat light, try to stay away from the carbs, eat more protein, drink you some water an hour before, go to the bathroom right before, and, keep it moving. Make sure you take your break if time permits. If you are at, like I said, between question 80 and 100, I should have taken a break. Even if it was only 5 minutes, I should have took that break. And this is just my personal preference. You can do what you like, but for that exam, I should have taken a break. And I think that the reason why I didn't take one was because I took another exam a few weeks before that, for like a job, and it was like maybe 120 questions, and I didn't take a break and I passed it. So I just probably assumed at that time that I could make it through 170 questions without taking a break. And even with 30 minutes left, I should have taken a break somewhere in between there. And so all I can tell you pertaining to this exam is that try to put your best effort into your answers. Try to think about the situation as if you are that social worker. Don't look at it as if someone else is a social worker. You are the social worker. And in addition to that, concerning those questions, make sure that you look at it from what's on the paper or what's on the screen or whatever the case may be. Look at it from that angle. Don't try to overthink it or add in extra crap. Don't try to do that. Look at what's on the screen and go from there. When you try to add in extra stuff, they're not even talking about that. Whatever it is that you're thinking about adding in there, I got to think about his family, or, I got to think about child support or whatever. Whatever the questions say on there, on the screen, stick to that. Don't try to think too far ahead or anything like that. Go off of the answers they give you. Eliminate one, because one is definitely wrong, and go from that 3. Pick out your best 2 and do your process of elimination from there. I think for me, I could tell you what the problem was. I can eliminate 1 and now I'm down to 3. I can eliminate a third one because that one could be it, but I know it's not it. And I'm at 2 and 2 are left. More than likely on my exam, I picked between the 2 best answers, but I didn't pick the best answer. They were probably both right, but one of them wasn't the best answer. And I didn't pick the best answer. I picked what I thought was right, but it wasn't the best. So just make sure when you're taking this exam, just kind of don't take too much time on one question. Just kind of coast your way through it. If you take more than 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes on one question, you need to mark that one and keep it moving. Don't sit there, because you'll end up stagnant and then you've wasted too much time when it's probably another question that's worth you wasting that time on, and you don't have enough time to really just put the thought process to it. So that is it, you guys. That is my story as to how I failed my licensure exam the first time. So I will be actually taking this exam again in the near future. So we'll see how it works out. Hopefully I go in because I know what's on the test. I know kind of, what the questions look like. I will have a little bit more confidence in myself in taking the exam. Now, if I fail this test by 1 point, that's just going to take me completely out. I'm telling you, I can't pass, fail this test by 1 point. I can't do it. I can't do it. So I'm going to go back again, put forth the effort, and go in feeling a whole lot more confident. I'm going to take my break and everything like that. I'm going to look at the question. Don't look beyond what's on the paper and what's on the screen, and go from there. So guys, if you want to hear more information, of course, subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is Gowns and Gossip, the podcast show. You can subscribe to that and you'll get notifications as to when I upload more podcast segments. All right, you guys, so I'm going to end it right there. But first, I got to tell you how you can get in contact with me. So just to let you know about a few updates before we go, we have already launched our Case Management 101, Non-Clinical Tactics to Guide Your Clients to Adequate Care, Edition 1, Developmental Disability, Course 1. So I'm extremely excited about that. It is available on Udemy, that's Udemy. And on that site, if you put in Case Management 101, of course, as usual, as of right now, we're still the only Case Management 101 that you can find on Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, and on Udemy. And on there, you will actually find the course. There is like a voiceover. It's a PowerPoint presentation, but it gives you the behind the scenes about the book. And we go over each chapter, not word for word, but just me talking to you, letting you know what it is that you need to do based off of those different chapters in the book. And it's very good. We've already have at least about 12 to 13 students. Right now, we're still in the marketing phases with the course. And as of now, I want to say we have a coupon code that ends on January 17th. And the coupon code is New Year CM 101. So if you put in the coupon code New Year CM 101 for the Udemy course Case Management 101, you will get, I want to say, is a $55 discount. And it's either a $55 or a $50 discount that you will receive. And so after that ends, we'll consider putting in another coupon code for those that are interested in this course. Now, although it is called Case Management 101, it is somewhat a support coordination course. So if you want to find out information about how to be an effective support coordinator, this is the best course for you. Also, we'll be working on course 2 that'll be coming out pretty soon. So look forward to that. Also, the blog that we have, we are also working on improving that, as well as the podcast. So look forward to that as well. We still do State of the Week on Facebook, Google Plus, and on Instagram, where you can find out information about each state that we use for the week, as far as their statistics and their community-based organizations. So you can find that information under Tranquil Artistry on Facebook, Google Plus, and Instagram. Also, you can find Tranquil Artistry merchandise on Spreadshirt. And so that is the way that you guys can get in contact with us and keep in contact and in the know about everything that we have going on. 2017 is the year we're going to provide you guys with more content. We're going to try to be more consistent with the content pertaining to HIV/AIDS, health awareness tips, going to a university, and social work and working in the field. We would like to give you guys more content about that. So look forward to all of that this year. And again, I want to say Happy New Year to everyone, and everything that you are working so hard for. By the end of 2017, you could actually say that you accomplished everything that you had on your list. So I have to end it on a good note, and that is to advocate, educate, and invoke change, and that every day is Black AIDS Awareness Day. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.